Welcome to another episode of Time, Talent, Treasure Radio from Taatjes Financial Group. Taatjes Financial is a company that specializes in helping retirees and pre-retirees build purposeful retirement plans. Custom plans that not only help clients steward their treasure, but their time and talent as well. They believe that if you're taken care of financially, you go even further to make the family, community, and kingdom impact you truly desire to make, which is the ultimate purpose of wealth. If you'd like to set up a no-cost, no-obligation meeting with one of their financial advisors, give them a call at 222-4236. You can request a meeting at taatjesfinancial.com or simply stop by their office on 19th Avenue Southwest in Wilmer.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Time, Talent, Treasure Radio. I'm your host, Ben Taatjes again. And again this week, I've got one of our advisors in the studio with me, Matt Hoekstra. Welcome to the show.
Good. It's good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you. You and I have been talking, as we are with the rest of our team, a lot lately about stewardship and about how, again, I mean, our entire firm, we've always said our goal is to really help our clients steward their time, talent, and their treasure. And a big part of that, obviously, we are financial advisors, and we end up talking money a lot here and talking about investments and tools and techniques that we've learned over, really over 2 decades of doing this. And one of the things that we've really been honing lately is this 3-step, what we're calling a steward's plan. And the 3 questions are, what are you stewarding? So we get a total organization and order of everything and how it's titled. Then we move into how much of it do you need, right, to live on now and in the future for income. And then the last question is, what do you do with what's left over? And whether that's charity or children. But I think those 3 questions really help us kind of reframe and kind of help the client see many times that there is going to be something left over. And it gets them thinking about that. And I know with your meetings, you get to meet with more people than I do these days. And you had one recently where it was one of those aha moments, I think, for the client. And you got them to that point by asking them a series of questions to get them to really reframe the way they look at how they're stewarding their money. Maybe walk me through a couple of those. Not the questions maybe, but kind of what you learned in that meeting.
Yeah, well, I think right off the bat, one of the questions I get the most is, do my kids count as a charity?
Well,
and
depends on what age. I know
yes,
mine.
to you they do,
yeah.
But to the IRS they do not, unfortunately. So
it probably feels like it at times. I mean, you got young children.
Yeah, they're a charity.
They're definitely a charity.
They're So, but one of the things that I've been noticing is it's really hard for people to make the shift in. They've been saving for someday their whole life, and I was meeting with a client. They were in their 70s, and I was like, someday's now.
Yeah.
And so, the question that I always ask at the beginning of a meeting is, when you started having kids, when you started out, money was tight. You always get we didn't know always where our next meal was going to come from. Did you ever think you would be in this spot financially? And most people, regardless of whether they have millions or whether they don't, most people, their answer is no. We would have never guessed that we would be in the position that we're in now. And so there's a real challenge to get people to continue to think of that stewardship in a way that's not just stashing money away and letting it grow and then passing it on someday.
Yeah.
It's being extremely intentional with what they have now, because for one, we don't know what it's going to look like 30 years from now. We don't know what laws and regulations and things like that are going to be. And 2, I'm living it even with my own parents and my grandparents. There's much more, you can be much more intentional, and there's a lot more wisdom that you can impart by spending time and energy and money with your kids and grandkids now, rather than having them just stash it away and pass it, in most cases, pass it down at a time when you don't necessarily need it.
Yeah, such a good point. I think, Matt, you bring a couple things that are really important to kind of dig deeper into. One is that last thing you said. I believe the statistic is that the average inheritance today comes when somebody is 64 years old. And we see that pretty normal. We have clients come in all the time like, yeah, I inherited some money, and typically they're in their 60s or even 70s. And something that I've heard many times from clients is, boy, I really don't need it now. And many of them pass that on to their kids then. but they say we could have used this in our 30s, in our 40s, right? So that's number one. And then you said something earlier about spending time with your kids and being able to use like the money now so they can enjoy it. And that brings me back to a quote I once heard was, never pass wealth on without passing wisdom first, right? So part of stewardship is preparing the next steward. So really by gifting now and at least helping them shift their mindset to being more open to that, whether it's their children or their charity, we tend to see a lot of great results from that just in how they look at their wealth, don't we?
Yeah, and I would say I have benefited far more from time spent with my dad, my grandpa, my parents than any money that I would have gotten from them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I'm seeing that in my kids' life already as well, that the time that they get to spend with my parents, my family, you know, things like that's going to set them up for far more success in life than just passing money to them.
Yeah, I love that.
The things they're learning, the things that, you know, we're teaching. And I think that's the piece that I'm really trying to get my clients to understand is, and I got to be careful how I say it, there's not a ton of influence in money, just passing money. There is a ton of influence in time and being intentional while you're living. And if you want to pass money down to your grandkids someday, if you want them to benefit from that, they have to be ready for it. And and being intentional with them and spending time and energy with them and teaching them those kinds of things, that's how you prepare them for that.
Yeah, love it. And that's what they really want from you too. The other thing we hear from those clients that are getting inheritances, man, I'd give this all back just for more time with mom or with dad. So yeah, great show. I appreciate that wisdom. And more often than not, man, I feel like we're in the wisdom business sometimes, like sharing these things because we get to see it. We sit across the table from, now thousands of clients, and we see them towards the end of life. We see them as they're building their wealth. And again, these same things come up over and over again. So until next week, have a great week, and we'll see you then.
Do you need ways to help steward your time, your talent, and your treasure? If so, Taatjes Financial Group can help. Now is the time to set up a no-cost, no-obligation meeting. You can do this one of three ways. Number one, give them a call right now at 222-4236. You can request a meeting online at taatjesfinancial.com, or you can just stop by their office located on 19th Avenue Southwest in Wilmer. I'm Jared Sebesta. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Time, Talent, Treasure Radio. We'll see you next time.
Securities offered through Avantax Investment Services. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Avantax Advisory Services. Insurance services offered through an Avantax affiliated insurance agency.